We're going to move on to City Council comments. First up, Councilman McGee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank again Lowe's for their partnership with the event on Saturday for the preparedness event, and to thank Ralph and his team for what they just went through with the airport fire, as well as CAL FIRE and RSO. Sometimes we forget after the crisis has passed to recognize the good work that you all did while the rest of us were, well, busy worried. You guys were not worried. You were taking care of business, so thank you. And then to our IT staff at this podium up here, could we get a label and an arrow that says press to speak? I'm not a big IT guy, but I think we could handle something like that, and it might make the meeting run just a little bit smoother. Moving now to our first slide of the evening. The Riverside County Transportation Commission met yesterday in their ad hoc committee for the I-15 expansion. The draft environmental document for this expansion will be released within the next 2 weeks, and there will be a series of public meetings explaining the project. Once I have a list of those dates and locations, I will share them with everyone so that if you are so inclined, you can get involved. Again, this is 2 lanes in each direction. They will be toll lanes from Cajalco to Highway 74 at Central Avenue. The new completion date is now targeted for 2030, 6 years from now, and we are still in need of more funds, so the commission will be actively seeking those funds. Next slide, please. Wines for Canines. Sorry. This is another annual fundraiser for Animal Friends of the Valleys. If you are so inclined, it is a week from this Saturday at South Coast Winery. Please take a moment to digest the information and do what you can to help our partners at Animal Friends of the Valleys. Next slide, please. Tonight on our agenda, item number 11, which passed unanimously under the consent calendar, the council dedicated some funds for spay, neutering, and microchipping through Animal Friends of the Valley. This will be free until the money runs out for Lake Elsinore residents only. This is a great program, and I would like to first thank staff for bringing this forward and then ask them if they could consider a separate program just for our seniors. There's nothing more precious than seniors with their pets. We want to make sure that those on a fixed income can continue to take care of their animals. And the next item up is sand drags down at the Lake Elsinore Motorsports Park this coming weekend, the 27th through the 29th. Day passes are only $15. Come down and see all types of vehicles, grip it and rip it through the sand. It is good, clean, dirty family fun. Next up, the Sports Car Club of America is coming back to our stadium parking lot. On October 5th, they will be holding a beginner's class. This is your opportunity to come and learn from a skilled and seasoned driver how to operate your own personal vehicle. And if you're brave enough, you can turn the keys over to that professional, and they will show you just exactly what your vehicle can do in the hands of a highly skilled professional. Again, that's October 5th, and if you just want to come and watch or ride with somebody, you can do that as well. On October 6th, open class racing will resume in the stadium parking lot, and you will see a bevy of beautiful cars. Before I yield the floor, I want to remind everybody that on October 12th, another car club called Corner Exit will be operating out of the Diamond Stadium parking lot. And this is a new group to us. I believe they've only been here twice before, and they've renewed their commitment with the Storm, I think, for 7 more events. So come down, back-to-back weekends, and check out these cars. I also want to give you a little teaser. The Lake Elsinore Motorsports Park, along with a promoter, will be holding the Lake Elsinore Grand Prix this year. It'll be November 8th through the 10th. Registration has already begun on their website, elsinoregp.com. For more information, look that website up. And the last thing I want to talk about is Leisure. We held a community outreach meeting last night in Canyon Lake, prepping the residents for their alum treatments. It was modestly attended, but we've reached out, and all of my colleagues from Leisure were there, along with representatives from EVMWD. And with that, I yield the floor.
Thank you, sir. We have Councilman Sheridan.
Thank you, Mayor Manos. Good evening, everybody. I want to say thank you to Ralph and his team and the whole city staff, also to CAL FIRE and RSO for their work on the airport fire. The work that you all did was amazing, so thank you. It's very appreciative. Can we go to the first slide, please? I am the representative for RTA. We had our RTA T-Now meeting in Menifee on August 28th. And RCTC actually came out, Councilmember McGee, and gave a presentation about the freeway pilot project that is coming soon. It was very interesting. Look for that on the website and in other areas in the future. It could help with congestion on the 15th. We have our September T-Now meeting tomorrow at French Valley Airport. I'll report on that at our next meeting. On September 4th, we had the Budget and Finance Committee meeting in Riverside. I do chair that committee, and that we approved resolutions authorizing the filing of grant applications with the Federal Transit Administration and Caltrans for fiscal year 24 and 25. We also sent to the board, the full board, a recommendation to approve an agreement with a scheduling company called Corval to provide scheduling software consulting services. Our board meeting will take place on Thursday, where those two issues will be considered by the full board. The next slide is there. What's the next slide? Okay, go back to the other slide. I thought there was going to be one in between. There's not. As of September 8th, RTA Route 9 no longer serves the Lake Elsinore Outlet Center. And I know that we're reporting this late, but as you know, we didn't have a council meeting 2 weeks back. If you need more information about that, please visit the Riverside Transit website. That's riversideTransit.com for more information about Route 9 and RTA no longer servicing the Lake Elsinore Outlet Center. Okay, next slide, please. The League of California Cities. I went to the Cal Cities Riverside County Division meeting on September 9th, and they gave a presentation on the sub-regional homelessness solutions and collaborative best practices. It was a presentation. It was very interesting, and I wanted to report that to you. Next slide, please. I also went to the LE Street Scene Festival on August 31st. I was allowed to open up the festival, and I did so. It was very successful here on Main Street. The organizers, the Downtown Merchants Committee, were very pleased with the whole process, and they're looking to do more things in downtown. We have a terrific downtown, and if you have not visited, for those of you who are watching on TV, please come down. Some great restaurants, a new French restaurant down here. And it's just a wonderful place to be. Of course, we're building a new city hall, which also is going to be just terrific. So visit downtown historic downtown Lake Elsinore. It's a great place to be, and that was a great festival. Good job on behalf of the Downtown Merchants Association and the city staff. Thank you. Next slide, please. The Lake Elsinore Storm, as you know, have a 501c3. It's called Thunder Cares. It's named after our mascot, Thunder, the big green dog. And we're going to have our inaugural Thunder Cares golf tournament on Monday, October 14th at Cross Creek Golf Club in Temecula. We are doing very well on sponsors, but we need golfers. So if you're a golfer, Mayor Manos, and you want to come out and hit some balls around Cross Creek, which is a beautiful golf club, please sign up at the website. You can also get more information on the Lake Elsinore Storm website as well. It's going to be a terrific morning, afternoon. So that's the inaugural Thunder Cares Golf Tournament, which will take place at Cross Creek Golf Club on Monday, October 14th. If you'll come back to me for a second, I do want to talk about the Lake Elsinore Storm. The Storm finished this season with a record of 71 and 58. They won both halves of the California League South Division, and they went into the playoffs. They beat the Visalia Rawhide in the first round of the playoffs, 2-0. And then they faced the Modesto Nuts for the championship. We had a game here in Lake Elsinore back on the 15th of September. Modesto won that particular game 10-8, but then we traveled up to Modesto for game 2. It was a best of 3 game series, and Lake Elsinore won game 2, 9-2, and that set up a final game in Modesto that unfortunately we lost 2-1. It was a very close game. We just missed out on a second California League championship over the course of the last 3 years. But I would note that we have been in the championship for the California League 3 of the last 5 seasons. They didn't have a season in 2020. But we made it in 19, 22, and again this year. It's a terrific organization, and Lucas Ray was the manager this year for the Storm, and I just want to send out a thank you to Lucas Ray. He was very easy to work with all season long, a terrific person, a gentleman, and a terrific manager. So congratulations to the Lake Elsinore Storm, and we'll get them next year. Okay, I also want to talk a little bit about the Southwestern Riverside County Higher Education Coalition. We had a meeting today down in Murrieta, and this, of course, is a group that is trying to bring a 4-year college university to Southwest Riverside County. Councilmember Johnson and I are on that committee, and they're going to have a sunset soiree. Soiree? Soiree. Thank you. Soiree. You know what I'm talking about. On Friday, November 8th. And if you are interested in going out there to help support this group of entities here in Southwest Riverside County trying to bring higher education to our area, let either Council Member Johnson or myself know, and we will give you more of the details. There's a lot of work being put into this. Council Member Lisa DeForest from Murrieta is spearheading it, and she's doing a terrific job. So that's something that you'll hear more about as time goes on. We had our City of Lake Elsinore LEUSD group meeting today, and of course we talked about the various things that have been happening in our community. Dr. Ryan Lewis, the superintendent of schools at LEUSD, praised the city staff for their work related to the airport fire, so I passed that along. That occurred at the meeting. They also talked about Measure T. Jim had come up and talked about Measure T earlier, and I also have endorsed Measure T. I would urge you to vote yes on Measure T. And they also talked about the State of the District that they're going to have that is currently scheduled for October 24th. Look for more information about that coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks. We have 4 meetings a year, and as I said, Council Member Johnson and I are members of that particular subcommittee. Finally, I want to say thank you to Jeannie Corral for your book. Appreciate that. Looking forward to looking through it, and for everything that you've done for our community for as long as you've been here. It's just terrific. And I would also urge folks, if you haven't already done so, please consider joining the Lake Elsinore Historical Society. We have a terrific society here in Lake Elsinore. It meets downstairs on the first Tuesday of the month, and they often have very terrific speakers. It's a small investment to pay to join the society into the history of Lake Elsinore. And as you know, we've been around for a long time, over 130 years. So consider joining the Historical Society if you haven't already done so. And with that, Mayor Manos, I say thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to move on to Mayor Pro Tem Tisdale.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to start off by talking a little bit about the airport fire and some of the response. So I wear sort of two hats in these things, council member for the city of Lake Elsinore, but my daytime job is I'm the plans chief for the Emergency Management Department, Riverside County. So when we have activations like this, we open our operational center. My team normally runs the plans section and the logistics section. Of course, Lake Elsinore runs their own emergency operations center, which Ralph leads, and our city staff man. So a lot of Lake Elsinore residents were evacuated during this time, and of course, there was severe damage up on the hill, up on the Ortega. And so when you have these kind of things, it's sort of a joint operation between the city and the county. So I want to wear my other hat and thank the city of Lake Elsinore, because after the fire is out, then we opened what's called a local assistance center to help those people that were impacted. And so Lake Elsinore let us use the community center, and we set it up for 3 days. I want to thank Lowe's that prepared stuff to give out to some of the residents that lost things. So it was a crazy time. A lot was going on. Thankfully, our residents in Lake Elsinore only being evacuated. Councilwoman Johnson was evacuated. As a matter of fact, on the first night, her and I were at the Temesco Canyon High School trying to help organize a shelter there. And so in that case, the city did well, and it did well because of the great work of our fire department and our sheriff's department. But the folks up on the mountain didn't do so well. And if someone wants to give or to help support, donations are done through the Salvation Army for the county. So that's out there if anyone is interested in that. So again, I want to thank people. There's a lot of moving parts to this. Our firefighters, like always, they do a great job. Our sheriff's department went up there. They evacuated people, knocked on doors, telling people to get out. And then, of course, afterwards, they go up and then do some safety checks and make sure that no one was left behind. And I'll just kind of leave it like that. And so there's still ongoing efforts. As a matter of fact, today, Lowe's actually donated a generator that we were going to take up on the mountain to help some residents that needed it. So again, thank you to Lowe's. They've been a great partner for emergency management and everything else. So again, so this reminds folks, I want you to go either to our city website or to ready.gov and be prepared. There's a couple of houses, even though most of the mountain burned, there's a couple of houses that didn't burn because people did the right things. They had defensible space and some other things. But also, everybody that evacuated, a lot of people left with nothing. And so we want to remind people to have kits prepared, things prepared, know what to take with you. So please go to the city website, check with Ralph. We have a CERT team, and just do those kind of things and make sure we're prepared. Fire season has not officially started yet, has it, Chief? Okay, but for us, normally fire season starts in October. Yeah, with the Santa Ana wind. So we haven't even gotten to fire season yet, and we've had major fires all around us. But our local fire department, our county fire department, and our team, they do a great job. They jump on these fires like you wouldn't believe. So again, thank you to all the folks that were involved in that. All right, my first slide, please. So I'm the representative for Northwest Mosquito and Vector Control District. And we just had a meeting this past last Thursday. And then so to the residents of Summerlee, I just want you to know that the mosquito district is still going out once a week and setting traps and monitoring the situation. The good news is it's well below the level now. We haven't had any complaints. You haven't had any complaints, have you? Okay. So we haven't had any complaints. But I just want you to know that the mosquito district will monitor throughout the season. And again, the season lasts until the temperature drops around 55 degrees for a few days. So, and then I'll provide more information on that. So that's the big thing impacting the city is, again, making sure that our residents are taken care of. And remember, it's not just mosquitoes, it's also vectors. So, sometime as we get closer to the end of the year, we start dealing with things like rats. So remember, this is something that you pay for in your taxes. So if you have a problem with rats or your neighbor has a problem with rats, and you can report them or report the rats. and someone will come out and set traps and stuff like that. So just so you know, there are a lot of services. And if you have any questions, just Google the website and look at what services they provide. And then, of course, if you have any issues or concerns, you can always contact me. Next slide, please. It's that time of the year. So I'm going to be, every council meeting, going to be putting up election reminders, drop-off points and different things like that. So just a couple things coming up. So everyone should have received their information guides in the mail, or most people should have. I've received mine. Ballots will be mailed beginning October 7th. And then, of course, ballot drop-off locations open October 7th to November 5th. The voter registration deadline, you can still register to vote up until October 21st. And then so some of these other dates, as we get closer, I'll just sort of remind you as we get closer to some of these other dates that are going to happen in October. So it's important. Every year they say elections are important. There's consequences. We all know there's consequences to elections. I do want to say, I'm going to do a little politicking now, since I have the microphone. So I do support my colleague, Mayor Manos. We've been a good council, and it's good councils that bring about good cities. Because if you're fighting or disagreeing, and we disagree. We all disagree. We have our different views on things. But when the vote's over, we move on to the next item. And that's the important part. And so, again, I want to say I support my colleague here. I also support my colleague out in the audience, Harvey Ryan for the Water District, and Matthew Dobler for the Water District also. Just thought I'd throw those two out there. Anyway, I don't know if my city attorney's going to throw me out, cut off my microphone. Speaking of microphones, so perhaps we can come up with something so that our city clerk can have a remote control for the microphone, turn it off and on. That might be the better solution, I think. Because even right now, there's a little bit of echo when the microphone is left on. I think that's why we turn it off. Anyway, next slide, please. So this past Saturday, again, while we had our local operations center, our local assistance center open, we also had an emergency preparedness event. This is the city of Lake Elsinore down at Lowe's. And so I went down to check it out. And so, again, our fire folks were there, our law enforcement folks was there, our CHP was there, and of course Lowe's was there and everybody else. Edison was there, and I shouldn't name people because I'm probably going to forget half the people that were there. But it's important. I saw a lot of residents going through. When Costco opened, when they were done, people came over to the Lowe's because there's tents. They wanted to see what was going on. So again, I want to thank Ralph and the city staff for organizing that, and Lowe's for being a partner, which they're a partner every year. Preparedness is so important. And everybody, they get excited about preparedness when there's a disaster, and that lasts about 6 weeks. And then we're back to where we are. So let's just keep reminding people, and I'll do my best to keep reminding people that, preparedness is every day. And, there's always some kind of disaster. And at some point, that little fault that runs through here will erupt. And so we have to be prepared for that. So, that's all my slides. So again, I want to thank city staff because every time there's a disaster, our folks have to work hard. Public Works was out with me to midnight, I think, on the first night trying to help with the shelter. And so all of our staff, they always work really hard. So I want to thank our staff for that. I want to thank the city manager. He yelled at me a little bit because, there's a lot going on there, but I forgive him. But we're all busy. We get going and we get excited about it. And we want to make sure that the residents of Lake Elsinore and the county, those that are around us are taken care of. And that's what happened during this event. So again, I want to thank you to everybody. And with that, I'll say good night. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. All right. Tough act to follow. All right. So first off, I got a late entry. This is unscripted. A note that one Gina McGee has indicated she is donating $500 to the Animal Friends of the Valley. That is the wife of Councilman McGee. So congratulations, sir. I don't think he knew. Yeah, please. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, I thought you'd enjoy that. Okay, or maybe not. I don't know. Airport fire. Just wanted to go ahead and first off thank our first responders. not just firefighters, but everybody that was involved. I saw a lot of sheriff's department folks. I actually ran into folks from Menifee's police station out in this area, folks from Moreno Valley, and then fire engines from all over. I mean, it was just crazy. There was lots of resources that were brought in, and they were coming in very, very quickly as the fire was progressing. Watching the fire go up to the Santiago Peak and then travel southward overnight and then just create this huge wall of fire reminds us this is the third fire this is the third time I've seen that mountain burn since I've been in office, and the spectacle is always awesome is the word I'm going to use, but it's not in the way that the surfers use it. It's just like it's the way you would use it's the biblical way that you would look at awesome, just absolutely huge and terrifying and spectacular all at the same time. It was unfortunate because there was a lot of damage, and I hear some loss of life, and we're still sorting through all of that, right? Not us, but when I say we, I mean the global we. Perhaps there's something that the U.S. Forestry Service could learn, and as that area continues to burn over and over again, perhaps some sort of prescribed fires or whatnot would be, in order for that area, something that we can advocate in the future, because it seems to be a pretty consistent issue there. Despite the down note, I will say thank you again to our first responders, to the council, to our city staff, to everybody that was very, very helpful in getting and communicating the information. And I hope everybody is able to go ahead and get back to normal life eventually, very, very soon. So we're going to go to our first slide. Southern California Association of Governments met earlier this month, at the beginning of the month. We discussed a lot of different things, but one of the big things that we passed was something lovingly referred to as the FTIP. That's the Federal Transportation Infrastructure Planning, and we did indeed pass that. That particular plan involves an overview of everything that happens in terms of transportation and infrastructure throughout almost the entire Southern California region, excluding San Diego County. It's a bottom-up approach, meaning largely that the GAG staff reaches out to the various cities and counties to find out and water districts and other types of municipalities to find out what they're doing, and then they list it and they make sure that that's cohesive with the SoCal Connect plan, which is the long-range plan for transportation and growth. And this is in large part how we eventually pull together plans with respect to growth, housing allocations, and things of that nature, monies that get allocated to certain places. So it's a kind of a big deal, but it's kind of wonky and complicated. But that's what we were doing at the beginning of the month. Lots of our projects were listed there: Main Street Interchange Program, the Temescal Canyon Bridge, and Temescal Canyon widening. You got the Marietta Creek Trail, Auto Center Drive Bridge retrofit, as well as the Franklin Interchange, which hasn't, that would be a brand new interchange. Central Avenue Express lanes from El Cerrito. So if you want to put yourself to sleep sometime, you can go ahead and look that up and go ahead and read all through that. Next slide, please. We had, in this particular event kind of got overshadowed by the fire because the fire was just starting that day, but we had a global water summit where we had individuals and governments that came from as far away as Africa, the African continent, to come out and see what we are doing with our water quality improvement programs, specifically with respect to the nanobubbler, as well as the algicide and some of the best practices that we're utilizing to combat the harmful algae blooms that we've been experiencing. And let's be frank, the lake has experienced for the millennia that it's existed, right? So we're dealing with that now, and this is getting the attention, not just regionally. We've had those leaders come through and take a look, but we're also starting to get international interest in what's happening here. And I wanted to go ahead and thank the folks that put this together. Adam Gafrati has been absolutely instrumental in helping go ahead and pull all this together. But I also want to thank my colleagues as well as city staff for continuing to push forward as we are continuing to implement new treatment methods to rehabilitate our namesake lake. And I think in a couple of years, and I don't think this is an overnight success, but I do believe that in a couple of years with what the water district's doing, with what we're doing, we're going to have a very pristine recreational lake to enjoy that's going to change our world. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But it was a great summit and certainly hopeful in tone. All right, on to the fun stuff. Oktoberfest. We're going to be having Oktoberfest return to Lake Launch Point, That's going to be September 28th through the 29th. The festivities start at 11 a.m. and go till 9 p.m. You can go ahead and get more information at www.leoktoberfest.org. I'll be there in Lederhosen. And if you've never seen a mayor in Lederhosen, you'll have to show up to see it. So I'm not posting pictures. But you should definitely come out, check it out. That will be posted. Somebody else is going to have to do it. I'm not going to do it. So please come on out. It's a lot of fun. I know some of the bands that are coming out are just, they know how to run a good show. There's going to be games, prizes, and if you want, you could always maybe rent one of the yurts or one of the Airstreams and stay the night and stay till the next day. That is completely allowed. All right. So next slide. Next fun thing, we got our trunk or treat. Annual trunk or treat is going to be held October 12th, 2024. It'll start at 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. downtown Main Street. Now, if you don't know what the trunk or treat is and you've got young kids, you may want to go ahead and set a little time aside to come on down to downtown Main Street. And what we basically have is we've got a bunch of cars that go ahead and park. They pop the trunks and they go ahead and do the trick-or-treating essentially right then and there. So if you live in a neighborhood where maybe the houses are a little far apart, or maybe you're on a hill, I remember we lived in Tuscany Hills. That was kind of a drag, right? Yeah, this is a nice flat space that you can go ahead and take your young ones and go ahead and collect a lot of candy in a short period of time. It's safe. It's well lit. You'll have a couple of other vendors there that your kids will probably be asking for stuff that you don't want to get. But that's all part of the magic of being a parent. And I certainly hope everybody comes out. Costumes are encouraged. So come on out and enjoy that. And if you want more information, you can certainly find that on our website at lake-elsinore.org. I don't have slides for this, but I do want to go ahead and thank Jeannie Corral for the book. I do have to point out that I am starring at the very end of the book here. There's a picture of a young Steve Manos as a freshman at Elsinore High School. That was you cut it off right at the end. Perfect timing. That was the last year that was the only year I was there. So I got lucky to go ahead and make it right there at the bookend there. And then, but it does bring back good memories and whatnot. Certainly appreciate that and appreciate the gift. Attended the Mariachi Fest this weekend. Very well attended. Everyone seemed to have a great time. Brought some family out. We had a phenomenal time. So Councilmember Tim Sheridan there, and we listened, laughed, danced a little bit. It was a good time. So if anybody's interested in that, should definitely check that out next year. Want to remind folks that this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. we'll be doing our Lake Elsinore Live, which was canceled last week because of the fires. We were focused on those things, and we will certainly cover some topics, including the fire and several other issues that are impacting the people of Lake Elsinore today. With that, I want to thank everyone for their patience and decorum. It is 8:10, and we are adjourned.